The annual Chin family barbecue was my least favorite day of the year. At 32, I was the only unmarried woman in 3 generations, and they never let me forget it. While my cousins showed off engagement rings and baby photos, I sat quietly checking emails and ignoring the pitying glances. My sister Emma was the golden child. Married at 24, 2 kids by 28, perfect suburban home. She worked part-time at a nonprofit while I'd spent 5 years building what everyone called my computer hobby. Sophia, when are you giving me grandchildren? Mom asked loudly. Emma's blessed us with 2 beautiful babies and you're still playing with computers. Emma smirked from her lawn chair. Mom, Sophia's too busy coding to think about real life. She probably talks to her laptop more than humans. The family erupted in knowing laughter. What was that about coding? Aunt Linda called out. Emma stood up dramatically. She's been saying for years her little app will make her rich. Still waiting. She walked over, voice dropping to a theatrical whisper that reached every corner. Face it, sophomore. You're 32, single, living in that tiny apartment because you spent everything on a pipe dream. Time for a real job and a real man. The family murmured agreement. Grandma Chin nodded from her wheelchair. In my day, women knew priorities. Family first. For 5 years I'd endured this speech. They didn't understand my little app was actually a revolutionary AI cybersecurity platform with contracts spanning major banks, healthcare systems, and government agencies. The NDAs were ironclad, and honestly I'd grown tired of defending myself. She's hopeless, Emma continued. Still single and coding at 32. What kind of life is that? Look around, Sophia. Family, love, stability. Not some fantasy about becoming a tech billionaire. Dad turned from the grill. Emma's right. He's got life figured out. Children, husband, home. That's success. I pulled out my phone, pretending to check messages while reviewing final IPO documents my lawyers had sent that morning. Tomorrow would change everything. Put that phone away, Mom scolded. This is family time. Though since you don't have a family, you wouldn't understand. Emma laughed. She probably has a dating app open, desperately swiping. More family laughter as my teenage cousin filmed for TikTok. Uncle Frank ambled over, beer in hand. What's the commotion? Trying to talk sense into Sophia, Emma explained. Help her understand this tech thing isn't going anywhere. Uncle Frank nodded. Tech bubble's gonna burst. Listen to your sister, Sophia. Emma's got the right idea. Stability, family values, a good man. I can take care of myself, I said quietly. Emma rolled her eyes. With what money? That up. Sophia, you're not Mark Zuckerberg. You're just a single woman who's been playing computer games instead of building a real life. Uncle Frank gestured emphatically. Women in tech isn't natural. Men understand technology. Women are nurturers. That's your strength, Sophia. The afternoon dragged with more lectures about my failures. Every conversation circled back to my lack of husband, childless state, unrealistic ambitions. Emma held court, accepting congratulations on her new pregnancy while casting pitying glances my way. As sunset approached, the family gathered around the patio TV. Uncle Frank claimed the remote, flipping channels when financial news appeared. Usually he'd skip it, but something caught his attention. The Nasdaq bell was ringing, massive numbers on the ticker. Holy cow, Uncle Frank muttered, turning up volume. Look at this IPO. Some tech company went public for $50 billion. Emma looked up. $50 billion? Impossible. Tech companies don't make real money. The reporter's voice filled the patio. In a stunning debut, CyberShield Technologies, founded by entrepreneur Sophia Chin, completed the largest tech IPO in 5 years. Trading opened at $200 per share, valuing the company at $50 billion and making Chin one of the youngest female billionaires in history. Complete silence. I could hear a neighbor's dog barking 3 houses away. My phone rang loud enough for everyone to hear. Caller ID, Goldman Sachs Investment Banking. Aren't you answering that? Emma asked, voice strangely small. I looked around at my family, all staring with expressions from shock to dawning horror. Uncle Frank's burger had fallen onto his shoes. I suppose I should, I said calmly, answering. Hello, this is Sophia Chin. The family watched in stunned silence as I discussed stock prices, market caps, and media requests. When I hung up, the silence stretched uncomfortably. That was Mom started then stopped. A joke, Emma said firmly. This has to be fake. Sophia, what did you do? Hire actors. There's no way you're worth 50 billion. I showed them news articles already appearing across every major financial website. Forbes, Wall Street Journal, TechCrunch, Bloomberg. $50 billion? Grandma whispered. More than some countries, Uncle Frank said, frantically Googling my name. Sophia, is this real? Several times over, actually, I confirmed. Emma scrolled through articles, face growing pale. This says you've been running this for 5 years. Pentagon contracts, major banks. Why didn't you tell us? When would I have? Between lectures about finding a husband? During speeches about wasting my life? While you explained I was playing games? Dad set down his spatula. If we'd known, you'd have treated me differently? That's exactly why I didn't tell you. Emma stared at her phone. It says you donated 20 million to cybersecurity education last year. 20 million. More than your entire family made this past decade combined, I said quietly. But please don't let that stop you from explaining what really matters. Mom launched into damage control. Sweetheart, we've always supported your dreams. We just wanted you to be practical. By calling my life's work a hobby? Telling everyone I was delusional. Emma walked over, expression mixing shame and desperation. I'm sorry. We didn't know. We were worried. No. You were embarrassed by me. You wanted me to fit your idea of what a woman should be. My phone rang again, my assistant about morning interviews. As I confirmed appearances on 3 networks and Fortune's cover shoot, I watched panic spread across my family's faces. We're family, Emma tried. Blood is thicker than water. Loving someone means supporting their dreams, not mocking them. It means celebrating successes, not tearing them down. I picked up my purse and headed for the gate. Enjoy your barbecue. Where are you going? Mom called. To my tiny downtown apartment, the 5,000 square foot penthouse I bought with money from my computer hobby. At the gate I turned back. Next time you lecture someone about what really matters, make sure you're not talking to someone more successful than everyone here combined. I left them standing in stunned silence, surrounded by the debris of their assumptions. As I drove away in my Tesla, another purchase they'd mocked as impractical, I felt lighter than I had in years. My phone buzzed constantly with congratulations from investors, board members, and industry leaders. The media requests were overwhelming. Bloomberg wanted an exclusive about my journey. TechCrunch was preparing a cover story. The White House had called about a technology advisory position. But the most satisfying notifications were the desperate texts from my family. Emma's messages grew increasingly frantic. Sophia, please call me back. I'm so sorry. We need to talk. Family is everything. Mom left tearful voicemails about misunderstandings and being so proud. Uncle Frank attempted to pitch me on a real estate investment opportunity within hours of the revelation. The next morning, I woke up in my penthouse to every major news outlet leading with CyberShield's IPO story. The headlines painted me as a visionary entrepreneur who had revolutionized cybersecurity while staying true to her values. Financial analysts were calling it the most successful tech debut in a decade. My assistant had scheduled back-to-back interviews. First was CNBC's morning show, where the anchor asked about my family's reaction to the news. They're still processing it, I said diplomatically. 4 years they saw my modest lifestyle and assumed failure. They didn't know about the separate accounts, the investments, or that my tiny apartment was actually a penthouse I owned outright. The anchor leaned forward. What would you say to other women whose families don't support their ambitions? That your worth isn't determined by other people's understanding of your value. Sometimes the people closest to you can't see your potential because they're too invested in keeping you small. That soundbite went viral within hours. The Forbes photographer arrived at my office that afternoon. As she set up lighting for the cover shoot, she mentioned my family had tried contacting the magazine for comment. What did they say? I asked, adjusting my blazer. Your sister wanted to talk about how proud the family has always been of your success. The photographer rolled her eyes. We declined the interview. During the shoot, my lawyer called with updates. 3 major networks wanted exclusive documentaries about my rise. Harvard Business School was offering a guest lecturing position. The Pentagon was fast-tracking security clearance for expanded government contracts. But the call that meant the most came from Dr. Sarah Martinez, a professor at MIT who specialized in encouraging women in STEM fields. Sophia, your story is exactly what young women need to hear. Would you consider speaking at our Women in Technology conference next month? Absolutely, I said without hesitation. What's the theme? Building the life you deserve regardless of who believes in you. Perfect. That evening I finally listened to my family's voicemails. 23 messages, each more desperate than the last. Emma's final message was particularly telling. Sophia, I know I messed up. We all did. But your family and family forgives. Think about what you could do for us now. The kids' college funds, mom and dad's retirement, my mortgage. You have so much and we have so little. Please call me back. I deleted the message without responding. The MIT conference was standing room only. Young women filled the auditorium, their faces bright with ambition and determination. I told them my story, the family barbecue, the dismissive comments, the moment everything changed. Your dreams don't need anyone else's approval, I concluded. Sometimes the people who should support you the most will be the ones trying hardest to hold you back. Build anyway. Succeed anyway. And when you do, remember that you owe nothing to people who never believed in you. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Afterward, a young computer science student approached me, tears in her eyes. My parents keep asking when I'm going to find a husband and quit this computer nonsense. Your story gives me hope. Keep coding, I told her. And remember, their lack of vision doesn't define your future. 6 months later, I established the Chin Foundation for Women in Technology with a $500 million endowment. The announcement made international headlines, and I used the platform to speak about believing in yourself when others don't. The foundation's first initiative was a scholarship program for women pursuing STEM degrees despite family opposition. Applications flooded in from daughters, sisters, and granddaughters whose families had dismissed their ambitions. My own family continued reaching out sporadically. Birthday cards arrived with carefully worded messages about family bonds. Emma sent photos of her children with notes about how they'd love to meet their successful aunt. Uncle Frank mailed investment proposals quarterly. I responded to none of them. At the foundation's launch gala, surrounded by brilliant women I'd chosen to invest in, a reporter asked about work-life balance and whether I regretted choosing career over family. I didn't choose career over family, I told her, looking out at the audience of scholarship recipients, mentors, and supporters. I chose to build the family I deserved instead of accepting the one that never deserved me. That quote became the foundation's unofficial motto. Sometimes the best response to people who diminish you is simply proving them spectacularly wrong, and then using your success to lift up others they would have dismissed too. As I watched young women networking and sharing their dreams at the gala, I realized something profound. I wasn't the spinster they'd mocked at that family barbecue. I was exactly who I was meant to be, successful, independent, and surrounded by people who celebrated my achievements instead of resenting them. The family who had called me a failure would spend the rest of their lives watching my success from the outside, wondering what might have been different if they'd chosen support over shame. But I would never wonder about that because I'd learned the most valuable lesson of all. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the courage to walk away from people who refuse to see your worth.